Hello everyone, it's me Skin Glow Afro and welcome back to my YouTube channel. And today I wanted to tackle the subject of the black family and slavery as best I can. I'm kind of doing this off the top of my head, but you know I can place resources down below. The reason I say this is due to a number of reasons. However, first of all, one thing I am noticed in is the black family has been fractured for a very long time. It's kind of like, you know, when you're younger, you had those jigsaw puzzles, you have to put them all back together. This is what we need to do as a black community. We need to put the black family back together. But first, in order to do that, you need to have all the right pieces and they need to fit into place. You can't just get any old piece and say, hey, this is gonna go here, but that's not how it works, because culture also influences the black family. Wherever you are in the world as a black person, your culture influences how you see and value the black family. In the Caribbean, even though slavery happened in the Caribbean and the black families weren't allowed to be together in the Caribbean as well, you know. And one thing that I know specifically happening in the Caribbean is that when a black child was born during slavery, that child, once they got to a certain age, would then be sold off to one of the other slave masters. That's why it was sold off, because they weren't allowed, even the black children were not allowed to remain with their families. And sometimes, if you read the book of Mary Prince, she was sold off to another slave master's family. She was sold off to them, and then I believe, if I remember reading it correctly, I don't think she saw her family again. This is what happened to a lot of black children and black African children, black Caribbean children, African American children, you know, during slavery. This happened a lot, where black children were born and then the white people just came in and just took them to other places, took them to other plantations, and then that was it. They weren't allowed to see their family members again, because now you are the property of that slave master. You are not you don't belong to your family anymore. You are the property of that slave master. Also, another point I wanted to raise was this idea of breeding that came about during slavery as well, not just in America, but it also happened in the Caribbean as well. Basically, what happened was the strongest enslaved male and the strongest enslaved female will be put together so that they could produce children, and that was their purpose. Their purpose was to just breed and have as many children as possible, so that they could be strong, and so that these children would you know, also work the plantations outside. That's why they wanted the stronger ones to work the plantations. But then again, once this happened, you start to see the fracture of the black family, because if your only purpose is to produce children, of course, as black people, quite a lot of us do want to have children. But the thing is, during slavery, if your only purpose is to be together with a black man or to be together with a black woman just to have children, that breaks down the black family structure, because they're basically saying your only purpose to be together is to breed. And I've noticed that with a lot of celebrities these days, that's what a lot of them doing. They're getting with these black women and they're producing all these children, but they're not marrying, but they're not getting married, they're not building a family. Instead, the dads are outside the family household. Like, you're outside the family household, so therefore you're not really a family. It's like it's estranged. Like, the black woman is having to chase you down for child support, and you don't feel ashamed about that. Actually, you don't feel ashamed that you're having to be chased for child support, when, okay, if you're not in a relationship, you shouldn't have got her pregnant in the first place. But I'm also going to say to black women, if this man, yeah, is only offering his penis, is only offering his dick, then you need to keep far away from him, because as soon as you get pregnant, that's it, he's going to bounce right out that door. You're not going to see him again. The only time you're going to see him is when you take his ass to court for child support. And you do not want to be doing that, having to chase someone to spend some time with their child, to spend some money on their child. You shouldn't have to be chasing anybody to be doing that. That's absolutely foolishness. But I'm saying slavery, black men in jail. There's a hell of a lot of black men in jail. Some of them don't belong in jail, but this is just another way the UK and America has to keep the black family separate. As soon as they put black men in jail, that leaves the black woman vulnerable. And once the black woman is vulnerable, then they know exactly what they're doing. You know, she's vulnerable, she's alone. Then they can start putting these messages into her head that black men ain't shit and black men are all of this and you need to keep away from them. And then they start projecting these images onto TV about interracial relationships everywhere. Have you noticed this? Every single time you switch on your TV, you're seeing an interracial couple. And I'm like, but where are the black families? You're not seeing them. They're doing this very carefully. What they do is then remove the black man out of the household. Yeah, they remove the black man out of the household, and then they start projecting all these images of interracial relationships. And once they do that, then that subliminal messaging starts to work. It starts to go to effect. For years, this is not something that's not something that's new. It's something that I've been noticing for quite a while, and I've said, you know what, I need to come in here and voice my opinion about it. I don't know like everything about it, but like I'm only here to give my opinion. That's it, I'm giving my opinion. I'm also trying to read as much as I can, about the whole situation. Now, one of the books that I found useful, I've mentioned on my YouTube channel before, is Conspiracy to Destroy the Black Woman. Now, I actually have mentioned it before. It's by Michael Porter, and it has all of these, it's split up into parts. So, part 1 is cause, effect, and madness. Part 2, the women. Part 3, agencies and institutions. And then part 4 is the wicked, the mad, and the spiritual. It's available on Amazon. So if you want to go purchase it, the paperback, I don't think it's in hardback version because I've not seen one. So if you prefer hardback rather than paperback, then I don't know whether you can get a version like that. But the paperback is definitely available on Amazon because I ordered it myself a few years ago and I didn't actually finish it until 2018. It took me ages to read it, to digest it, because it's a lot. It's not something that you can just read quickly like a fiction novel. You need to actually digest it properly. As I have stated before, even though it's predominantly talking about African American women, I do feel like those of us here in Britain and those of us in the Caribbean can also pick out parts from this book to have a true understanding what it means to be a black woman, why the black family structure is, where it's at. We need to really do some serious work to get the black family structure back to where it was before white supremacy interfered, before colonization, before we was on the plantations. We need to get back to that. And that is going to take a long time because you have to remember slavery wasn't just 400 years. We're still dealing with these effects. So whenever someone says, oh, slavery was so long ago, you need to get over it. No, the fact we don't need to get over anything. The damage is so strong. Black family, they actually did some research a few years ago that actually said that the trauma that an enslaved black woman dealt with during slavery changes her DNA. So if she's carrying a child, specifically a girl, then that girl's DNA is also changed. So therefore, that little girl's DNA is also getting changed. So when she has children, that trauma is being passed down onto those children and then onto her great grandchildren and great great grandchildren and great 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 grandchildren, and this is why black people today are still dealing with the effects. People saying, well, you yourself wasn't enslaved, so why do you feel that way? Well, they've done the evidence now, and our DNA has been changed due to the trauma of slavery, and this is why we can't get away from it. To round this video off, I would like to say, first of all, when you get into a relationship with a black person, if you are looking to build a black family, you have to make sure that you are equally yoked. Now, I know this is a Christian term, but in order for you to understand, you know, the black family structure, you have to make sure you're equally yoked. Do you want the same things? Like, do you want to raise black children? That should be one of the first things you ask. Do you want to go to couples therapy before you even consider getting married? Because this is one of the things, if we do not unpick and we do not unlearn the things that we have been taught, then the black family will continue to be destroyed. So what we need to do is, if you are looking to get married, or even if you just want to be in a relationship, I would advise couples therapy to just get everything out in the open, any anxiety you feel, all them kind of things. That you actually listen to your partner. You know, that is the most important thing. Make sure you actually listen to your partner. Don't just listen to respond, but actually listen. You know, listen, truly digest what your partner is saying, because that is how you build a true foundation. That is how you build a true partnership, by actually actively listening. See the two ears here? Do you know to actively listen? Make sure you do that, you understand? Make sure you do that. Because trust me, your partner will value you so much if you actually listen to them. Especially when they're coming home from work, they've had a long day dealing with white bullshit. And then when they try to explain it to you, you're not really listening to them. You're just like, you know. Like, actually listen to what they're saying, because it's not just black women dealing with it. Black men are dealing with it too, you know. Another thing I would advise also is, if you don't intend to get married, then that is fine. However, please don't crucify me for saying this. However, if you don't intend to get married, then that's fine. That's perfectly fine. But at the same time, don't just get pregnant by any man. I'm saying this to the ladies. Don't just get pregnant by any man. Don't let them get into your head and fool you that, oh yeah, let's have a baby together, and then the next thing you know, man's dicked off. Like, don't. Like, whatever you can do to prevent pregnancy, for as long as possible, do it. So that way you can actually recognize the signs of a man, because trust me, those red flags will always start going off with certain men. Be aware that men can change after you've had children, which is fair enough. You cannot control them from, you know, changing. Men will do whatever the fuck they want to do, but I'm saying, you as a woman, prevent pregnancy if you can. Prevent pregnancy if you can, for as long as possible, until you truly know this person. Because getting into a relationship with someone and then having children really early on is not really a good sign. It's not really a good thing, because like that early, when you're still building that relationship, it's still not that strong. So, you know, you need to just err a bit of caution. Or if you choose not to prevent pregnancy, then, you know, just make sure that you having constant conversations with your partner to make sure that you are both, as I said previously, equally yoked. And them, start breeding up every woman you come across. You understand? Start breeding up every frigging woman you come across. I don't understand why some of you don't love to use condoms, honestly. Why you don't love to use condoms. It's not every day treating women as a fucking challenge to get them pregnancy, and then you disappear. You're like a friggin' farmer. As soon as you seeded your oats, nobody will see you again. But the thing is, when you seed oats, those oats need to be watered, but you're not there to be watering them. It is left to women to water those children, to grow them up. But what are you doing? Bragging about shit because you have a child. You're bragging about that, but you're not involved in that child's life. You're not raising them, but yet you're calling yourself a king. You ain't a fucking king if you aren't taking care of your child. You ain't no king. You ain't no black king if you ain't taking care of your child, if you're not there with that woman, or if you're not with that woman, being actively involved in that child regardless, making sure that you have a good relationship with your mother of your child, but you're calling yourself a king. Anyway, that is it. That is the end of my video. Please let me know your thoughts down below, and I should be back in a few minutes to do some more YouTube videos, okay? Bye.